I'm uploading this video during the reading rush. I'm actually doing the reading rush as we speak, and I'll probably do a little review of how it went on here at some point. Hello and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new, my name's Leah and I sometimes lie about my video intentions. I know what you're thinking. Leah, you did a reading rush TBR and now the reading rush is over and I can't help but notice the title has nothing to do with the reading rush. I followed you on Instagram and you said you'd post about the reading rush, but you didn't. You snaky bitch. Well, I've had a long week. You follow me on Twitter, you'll be aware of the fact it's been a long week. And that's okay. Sometimes we have those days, especially in a pandemic. They just come one after the other, don't they? Just keep plodding along. In good news, I got a tattoo. I just think it's really cool, and I think the irony will make me love it forever. You want to contribute to the chaos right now? What would that entail? Coughing on a child? I don't know. But I don't think it's what the front bottoms meant when they originally wrote that song. But yeah, this video, instead of anything to do with the reading rush, is still gonna be book themed. You can try and beat me when I'm down, but I still want to support independent businesses. If nothing else, because, you know, the more money you're spending them, the more people they can hire. Maybe one day I'll have a job again. And before we start talking about independent bookstores, which is, you know, one of my favourite things, I'm going to address some things I've never really covered here. 1. Leah, why do you hate Amazon? Why do you want Amazon to burn in hell? Why do you constantly tweet fuck Bezos? I feel like it doesn't really take much to research into why Amazon isn't really like the company we should all be rushing towards. Does no one find it odd that like billionaires are the ones that have profited the most from a global pandemic? Does no one find it strange that the people that don't pay their taxes and contribute to the local economy and keep their workers in really terrible underpaid conditions are the ones that are thriving right now? Is that not weird? I was gonna say I don't hate Amazon. I don't love it. I think it's a really good idea, you know? The ability to buy something, like anything you want, that's cool. Obviously that was always gonna do well. This is not a shock. I just personally think Amazon needs such a huge reform internally. I don't know how that could ever happen without kind of abolishing and starting from the ground up. Because at the end of the day, the man has enough money to end like world hunger, the climate crisis, poverty in a great deal of nations, and he just doesn't. He has enough money to like pay his workforce more than minimum wage and expect them to work like 50 hours a week. And he doesn't. I also think that realistically Amazon Prime has done a really harmful thing to consumer culture and the mentality that you deserve to be able to buy something and have it arrive within 24 hours puts a lot of pressure on every other competitor, every other business. And this is the thing. Every single store is a competitor with Amazon because you can buy anything from Amazon. It doesn't matter what you sell, you're gonna wanna try and match what they're offering, otherwise you're aware that you're gonna lose business. So it just means that other companies either have to run themselves into the ground to be able to match that kind of fast delivery, immediate gratification, or they're gonna start cutting corners. All of these things seem bad to me, and I don't get when people don't get that. But maybe I'm just delusional. So yeah, my big goal at the end of the day is always just to encourage people to stop buying so much from Amazon. Like just make a little dent, you know? And I'm aware that I'm speaking to like 12 people who are my friends. They already know how I think and they go about their day however they want to. But I just always think if you can spend £1 in an independent bookstore, about 70 pence of that will go back into your local economy. Do you know how much money that you spend in giant, huge, trillionaire conglomerates goes back into the economy? I think it was like 5p. No wonder like the welfare system in our countries is so poor. No wonder the government is having to make huge cuts on things that should be covered by taxes. The millionaires aren't paying their taxes. You know who are? The independent businesses. It's all good, Leah. Keep breathing, we're gonna be fine. And then also, people wonder, how do I feel about chain store bookstores? I mean, I no longer work in one, so mostly I just feel nostalgic and sad about them. Again, if you do a bit of digging, you can probably find some points of improvement. Why pretend that they're like a godsend? But at the end of the day, I think these big old bookstores, they set people on a path to reading. They make it so much more accessible for people. If you only buy one book a year when you're going on holiday, realistically, you end up popping into one of the chain bookstores. And also, I think booksellers just need so much more recognition than maybe they get, because a huge part of their job is not what happens in their 40-hour week in the store. In order to be a good bookseller, you have to read. Like, you have to read what's going on in the book. You have to be able to make recommendations to customers. You have to have areas that you specialise in. So what they do off the clock, reading for leisure, isn't really for leisure. It's to improve their skill set in their job, which is a very good business idea. Find something that people love doing, hire people that love doing it, don't pay them to do it, and immediately your business is better. I don't know. So I just think, like, yeah, they hold a place. And now that I have a bunch of friends, I mean, I view them as friends, they might hate me, a bunch of people that I know that do that job and are no longer going to be a part of my day. I think good things of them, and anything that encourages people to read, I'm okay with. But we're not talking about that, we're talking about the independents, my true loves, my babies, whom I have had no involvement in the growth of. So here are some bookstores that I personally am really excited to visit when I feel like I can justify travelling for the sake of travelling again. Right now, I mean, I've only taken a train once, and that was to return from God's County back to Manchester. And that was cool, that was fine. I know people that are hopping on trains to visit their friends. They'll stay with their friends for a couple of days. They'll like make a round trip and kind of thing. I, right now, don't think I can justify in me old noggin travelling too far afield just to do things like shop. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm on a no book buy, but if I were to visit an independent bookstore because I want to support them, I would probably still buy one book. I've got a list here of books that are coming out in paperback. If you like my notebook, this is where all my lists go. Yeah, like The Memory Police, 3 Women, which is actually in paperback. And I have many friends that own the hardback, and I'm not going to be leaving the house anytime soon, realistically. That's just, who are we kidding? So I should just borrow that from someone else. The Beauty of Your Face is coming out in paperback. Breast and Eggs is coming out in paperback. There are a lot of paperback releases, so if I were able to visit independent bookstores, I would buy one book, and maybe I'd stick to that list because these are the ones I've been keeping track of. So these are stores that at some point I really want to visit, and they're not stores that I've been to before. That's a big thing here. I have done another video where I spoke about independent bookstores I think you should support, that I love, and I have visited multiple times. These are shiny and new because new is fun. And also, I live in Manchester, which doesn't really have a great independent scene. And there's a cafe in Didsbury called The Art of Tea, which is, yeah, a cafe and a bookstore, and I've been told I'd really like it there. But in my head, I've got that set as like a really nice date location at some point. Like maybe in the winter, you want to be cozy, and you like sit there with your tea surrounded by... So because of this single plan, for a date with a person I don't currently have in my life and have made no progress to try and acquire, I'm not visiting there. First bookstore I've had on my radar. I've had it on my radar for about a year. They won the Best Independent Bookstore in 2018, and in 2019 they won the Best Midlands Bookstore. It's based in Nottingham and it's called 5 Leaves Bookstore. Now, the only reason I haven't been is because Nottingham? What is there to do in Nottingham? I don't know. Fight Robin Hood? Please. He was a fox. He would literally bite me and I'd get rabies and die. Stop. But actually, my grandma spent a long portion of her life in Nottingham. She did her deaconship there. My grandma was one of the first female reverends and female deacons in the United Kingdom. I loved her a lot. She was a very cool lady. So the idea of maybe going and like paying homage to her and having a look around some bits that related to her life while also being there would be really cool. Right now, I'm not going. Another thing that I think is really cool about these guys is they advertise themselves as a feminist bookstore. They have a lot of LGBT travel literature. They have a feminist fortnight every year. I love a bookstore that specialises in radical literature. What's radical literature? Literature based around social justice issues that we shouldn't really have to fight for anymore. But here we are. There's going to be a theme running, so just remember what I've just said as we list some of these other ones. After that, we have 2 bookstores that are based in London and I found through Twitter. One of these, I know I would not buy anything from because it's a secondhand antique bookstore. But let me tell you, their Twitter, so I'm talking about a bookstore called Henry Sutherland's. I just think their Twitter is so funny. Like, it's run by a guy called Oliver and I don't know what it is, but I would just like to go in and I know you can't shake hands in COVID, so I'll like shoulder bump him, be like, good job, you made me laugh all the way through lockdown, thank you. And then the other bookstore based in London is called The Second Shelf, which focuses on female books, women authors. As if that wasn't already cool enough because, you know, I bloody love feminism. They are very vocal in the, I don't know how to say this, turfy bullshit that comes out of J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling's actually blocked their Twitter account, and every time they sell a Harry Potter book, they donate the profits to trans charities, which is awesome. We love a woke Twitter account. Another bookstore that I would really like to visit, I mentioned actually very quickly in my last video, or maybe the one before that. They've been mentioned briefly. They're going to get a more in-depth explanation right now. Woodbridge Emporium. So these guys had the audacity, the courage, the lunacy to make an anti-racist reading book display in their shop, and they got shit for it because they live in a, do people know what I mean when I say rural vibe? Lowercase c, uppercase C, conservative mentality that I just describe as rural energy. Yeah, and they got a bunch of shit for it, so I would love to go in there. I would love to buy at least one, only one, I'm capped, one single book from their anti-racist display and tell them all they're doing God's work. And then the final bookstore that I would love to visit is very pipe dream. It's not happening in 2020. I know that, you know that, you'll understand when I say it. I really want to visit Atlantis Books in Santorini, Greece. It just looks wonderful. Yeah, I've got nothing else to say. I want to go. I want to be in the sun. I want to read lovely books, bought from lovely bookstores, surrounded by people that I care about, as we all get a little bit tan and laugh about how, haha, remember last summer when we were all inside because of a global pandemic? It's good to have dreams, but planning that far ahead is for suckers, so we plod along. And there you have it. That's the list of bookstores that I cannot wait to visit when/if Corona ever ends. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are all doing the usual. I hope you're being nice to people, being lovely. I hope you're all staying safe and wearing your masks. They're mandatory in the UK and, well, in England, because other places didn't need 2 weeks delay to make that a law. It's good to see that people are taking that side of things a little bit more seriously, even if, you know, everything else feels like it's kind of been forgotten about. I'm hoping to continue to upload videos maybe once a week. I actually uploaded a second video last week, but had to keep it unlisted It's the funniest thing I've ever edited. It's also the craziest thing I've ever edited. It gives you an insight into how me and my friends spend our time. We held a fish funeral and it was the greatest day of my life. I have to keep it unlisted because it has a copyright claim because I used Amazing Grace in it. The link is down below. I really do think it's one of the funniest things I've ever done. And I encourage you all to watch it and just be upset that you spent your time listening to a girl dare to have opinions on things like the economy when in her free time she does ridiculous shit like that. Who am I? Thank you so much for now. I will see you guys again soon. Feel free to check me out on Twitter and on Instagram. And until then, goodbye, 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 goodbye.